Equal opportunity lender, NMLS number 275483.
Oh, yeah. It's Cover Your Assets. Jason Walgrave, Craig Nestor, and Todd Rooker, 855-835-8500. CoverYourAssets21.com. That's where you go to download your free copy of the Financial Crisis Bible. We'll tell you about our on-site free seminars coming up here pretty soon. But, Todd Rooker, we've got Brad Kaplan in the house.
Go right ahead.
Brad, this is what I see with you and your company is in comparison to the big boys, so to speak, or the ones that you talk about, you see on TV and the radio and all the advertisements. I see those agents that work for those companies, the agents work for the companies. Where I see you and your company, I see you working for the customer and saving money. Tell us a little bit about how, you know, on the break you were talking about a family that you saved a bunch of money for.
Yeah. First of all, let me clarify. When you say the big boys, the carriers that we represent, they're the big boys too, and the big girls. They just because they're advertised on TV and they're hiring famous movie stars and things like that to come on and endorse them, what that's doing is basically taking coverage away from your policy and costing you a fortune. Some of those companies are actually rated, if you go into the ratings, lower than the companies that we have. So just because you see a big billboard doesn't mean anything. What's happening in the marketplace is that these carriers are suffering from high loss ratios. So they're taking prices way up. Just this week, the story I was telling you about, we had someone come into our office. We did a review for him. We came back and we're showing him a better plan, which is protecting his family, actually providing some coverage for him. We're saving the guy and his family $1,500 a year. Each and every year, we're saving him $1,500. He's really upset, thinking for the past 15 years, he just wasted $15,000. We could have bought him a new car.
You know, my mortgage payment went up $70 a month because of my insurance premium increases.
Right, and a lot of people don't realize that. They just keep paying the mortgage. If they just come in for a simple review, they can spend 10 minutes on the phone with us. We honestly can get them on and off the phone in 10 minutes and come back and probably save, you know, we're saving our average client anywhere between $500 and $1,500 a year.
That's huge.
You know, this is an insurance for a lot of people, as I say, they don't really think about it properly, but they don't think about a lot of things in their financial lives properly, to be fair with them. So I look upon insurance as being an opportunity to build net worth. When you talk about $1,500 per year, I'll just tell you right off, for those of you who are out there listening, remember, for every $100 per month you can free up and pay yourself, put into investments, $100 at an 8% compound rate of return over 30 years will turn into $150,000.
Seriously.
So, you know, we're not talking about small amounts of money. We're talking about substantial differences down the road. And the goal of managing money properly and doing proper insurance planning is to free up money, to have more money to work with, but then also simultaneously cover the major issues that are out there. So when you think about insurance, the major thing, as I said earlier in the segment, was that you can control the premiums with the deductible, which is the portion that you self-insure for, but is the big things that cause you to get into a financial crisis. And that's why everybody I know who wants to build net worth wants to ensure that once I succeed, I never lose what I've gained so far. So insurance can be done in that way, but you've got to put it in place and be conscious of the big things, which are the things that wipe you out financially. Can you talk a little bit about that, Brad?
Sure. I'd like to just real quick insert, everyone can grab a pen and write down our phone number. That way, if they're intrigued at this point, they at least have a way to reach us. Our office line is 763-746-5000. We're right in Plymouth, Kaplan Insurance Agency, 763-746-5000. Feel free to ask for me, or any of our staff members can help you. And the question you just posed about coverage, here's an example that happened last week in our office, and it's actually tragic. And we were all pretty depressed around the office. One of our agents met with someone and proposed a plan for the gentleman, and showed him where his current plan did not have the right coverage, and he needed a minute to think about it. Was going to call back next week. Well, what happened? His son was hit by a drunk driver.
Oh my gosh.
And it was awful. So you've got a situation now where that person only has $100,000 and the kid's in the hospital for 6 months. Todd, how far is that 100,000 going to go?
Well, it's going to be exhausted with catastrophic care, possibly within the first week. And I know because of you guys know my story with my wife and all this. But let me tell you another story that's not dissimilar, but this is one that I talk with my clients about. 27 years ago, I had a young lady, maybe something like that, who was on her way to work. She was in Brooklyn. She's actually coming from Anoka into Brooklyn Park. She's on her way to work. She was a dental hygienist, and on her way into work, she's putting her makeup on, as was actually testified to in court. She's on her way to work.
Was she also eating a bagel and talking on the phone?
Could be. She was putting on her makeup on her way to work on 85th and Zane Avenue in Brooklyn Park. There's a guy standing in front of his car with his hood up, trying to get his car going. She rear-ended his car at over 45 miles an hour and paralyzed the guy from the waist down. She had $30,000, $60,000 aggregate limit for liability, which means per person $30,000 worth of coverage. She paralyzed this guy, and because it was a criminal act in the way that this occurred, she was sued. They won almost $1 million. She had a 30-year wage garnishment, which was non-dischargeable because of the criminal effect. Non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. This young lady, at I believe the age of 28 or 29 years old, had a 30-year wage garnishment, taking 30% of her income over the next 30 years of her life, and it was non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. Let me tell you what, liability limits are pretty important, and nothing matters until something goes wrong, and now it's a little bit late. So that's liability. That's what's important with insurance.
Yeah, that's right. And so a lot of you out there are thinking, well, that wouldn't happen to me because I have an umbrella policy, right? Well, guess what? I'd say at least 8 out of 10 umbrella policies that I see on my desk are improperly constructed. They're not worth the paper they're written on, and I don't care what you're paying for it. It's a complete waste of money.
Having said that, an umbrella policy is probably the best coverage that you will ever have from a financial planning
Absolutely.
perspective. Because
the correct umbrella. It needs to be set up properly, and most aren't. And several of the carriers out there in the marketplace don't even offer the coverage on the umbrella policy that's needed. So you go to your agent and you, if you come into our office and we make our recommendations and you don't buy from us and you go to some other agent and say, this is what I want, they can't even sell it to you because they don't offer it.
Explain what an umbrella policy is. I mean, we've heard the term, I have one, and I really can't say that I totally know what it means.
An umbrella policy is excessive coverage above and beyond your standard liability limits. Often a carrier is going to want to have your underlying coverages, and then they're going to put what would be considered an umbrella of coverage above and beyond all of your other coverages. So if you've got a $100,000, $300,000 aggregate limit on your car insurance, you would have an additional $1, $2, $3 million on top of that, which would be $1.1, $1.3 million. What an umbrella policy is, if it's put in place properly, as Brad's described, and it must be, is essentially you putting a barrier in front of someone who might sue you that they have to come through before they can get at your assets. And so imagine that somebody's going to have to sue you and win over $1 million before they can touch any of your personal assets. Now, I want you to think about this. For the cost of, let's say, $400, $500, $600 per year, and let's just say it's $600 a year for this. This is $50 per month.
It's usually $200, $300.
Okay, so it's $200, $300. I got a bigger one with more coverage. But anyway, all right, so here's the thing. If I go downtown Minneapolis to the IDS Tower and talk to a law firm and say, hey, look, guys, for $50 a month, can I retain you guys to defend me should I ever have a major occurrence? And will you, if you lose, pay $1 million if you do? They would laugh. And the reality is that's what you're getting with an umbrella policy. You're getting a law firm who represents the insurance company because they got a whole lot to lose, and they're going to be defending this case to ensure they don't have to pay. And guess what? They're really defending you, and they're going to have to win that person against those attorneys, and then they can come after you. I'll tell you what, it's the best coverage money can buy and the least expensive, yet it is the most important.
Yeah, I'm going to start using some of that because you explained it so well. It is the best money you can spend in insurance, or it could be the worst money if you've got the wrong umbrella. I can't emphasize that enough because so many people tell me, oh, I have one of those umbrellas. Or if you're out driving around right now, you're going to say, oh, I'm going to get me one of them umbrellas. I'm telling you right now.
You don't want the one that's going to turn inside out at the first hint of a breeze, right?
It's got a lot of holes in it. You're still getting soaked.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Brad Kaplan from from the Kaplan Insurance Agency. And again, just to throw out your phone number, 763-746-5000. You can reach him, too, through our show, coveryourassets21.com. So you guys have worked together, for several years. What's the biggest thing, though, Brad, when people come into your office that you find? What are the major gaping holes that so many people have in their coverage?
Liability limits are a huge concern, and most home policies are improperly constructed. I'll talk about the homes because we've been talking about liability so much. But most agents out there, we don't make a lot of money on an insurance policy. Really. It's not like selling houses or doing a mortgage or something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it's funny because a lot of people have this perception that you're making like 50% of their premium.
Yeah, no, it's 10%.
Yeah.
If that. So, you have a $1,000 home policy. Maybe the agent is making $80 or something like that. So per year. So what happens is most agents out there, they want you on and off the phone in 5 minutes, and they know that it's mainly a price game. You're shopping around. Who's the cheapest? We absolutely we want to be the cheapest, of course, but we absolutely refuse to remove coverage from a policy. So you'll have simple things like water and sewer backup coverage. I'm not going to take it out to save you $20, but the guy down the street absolutely will. They won't take the time to explain why their policy is $20 more. I will, and we'll win every time.
Well, look, here's the thing. If you've got somebody who's actually busted their rear ends to develop and amass $1 million, they don't want somebody taking their $1 million away, and they've got a different perspective than the person who has absolutely no money. The reality is the person with no money should be just as concerned. But when you kill yourself, and when my clients are concerned with losing their own money, they're really concerned with the way coverage is put in place, so they're protecting their assets.
That's a big deal. That's what we do here at Cover Your Assets. Jason Walgrave, Todd Rooker, Craig Nestor. More coming up, 855-835-8500 and coveryourassets21.com.
We get something, we both know it, we don't talk too much about it. Ain't no real big secret, all the same, somehow we get around it.
WWTC Minneapolis St. Paul.
A service of Salem Communications.
Life presents many legal matters. Who will you turn to if you need representation? Daniels & Wymore PLLC is a full-service law firm equipped to represent businesses and individuals. They counsel you through virtually any legal matter. Whether you're starting a business and you need to draft the necessary documents, you need litigation representation, estate planning, or even help defending your home from foreclosure. It doesn't matter whether you're a wealthy entrepreneur, a startup business, or an average individual looking for excellent legal counsel. You'll get the best possible representation at Daniels & Wymore. There's a lot at stake when it comes to legal matters, and you can count on our attorneys to bring their A-games every time. Call 763-201-1215. That's 763-201-1215. Or meet them online at dnwlawfirm.com. Daniels & Wymore, PLLC, providing ethical, tenacious, and cost-effective representation in the areas of business transactions, litigation, and estate planning. dnwlawfirm.com.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit matrixdirect.com.
Are you willing to pay more for life insurance than you should? Well, did you know some prices on term life insurance have fallen to their lowest rates ever? Hi, I'm Brent Langdon for Matrix Direct. We partnered with American General Life to find you their lowest rates on term life insurance products. So let's say you're 40 years old and married. We could find you a $250,000 policy for less than $16 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. Call 1-800-743-7850. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how much we could save you. It only takes 5 minutes, and you could save up to 70%, and the call is absolutely free. Call 1-800-743-7850. That's 1-800.